What is going on, movie meals? We're by a white wall. We look awful. I get it. All right, guys, this is where we're going to be filming from now on. We're still going to add some cool stuff in the background, but we thought,
cool stuff.
Yeah, hopefully. But we're we're here to talk Ready Player One. We've had some, we got other things to do. So the channel's not our number one priority, but we're hoping to amp up when summer hits a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
We're getting excited. We're getting amped up.
Real excited. So we're here to talk Ready Player One. I'm so excited. Steven Spielberg's movie. So let's just jump into it. Positive and negative. We're going to start with you because I have a feeling I've guessed your thoughts, and I want to see if I'm right.
Yeah, so my positive thoughts on Ready Player One. This movie feels epic. This movie feels really epic from start to finish, and that's because Steven Spielberg did a really great job of interpreting, I think, like the biggest positives of Oasis from the original material, the original book, and I think he translated well. At least for me, he translated well into a feature film format. Like, it's epic in scale. Like, it doesn't go and just stick into like one part of the Oasis. It expands into like this huge world building where like maybe we could have sequels to like some certain areas, or maybe like we could just explore these different features of Oasis that are just cool to see in general. He really took his time to craft Oasis as this really interesting world, and he did a really great job of making the special effects feel, computerized for the sake of the story, but also not to where it's distracting at all. Like, the special effects in this are really amazing to watch on a big screen. So if you're seeing like all the advertisements for, I don't know, maybe on posters or on like a small computer screen and you're not sure, trust me, it is worth it. Steven Spielberg knew what he was doing with these special effects, and they just turned out fantastic, especially since this all takes place in a virtual world, so that needed to work as well as it did.
Yeah, I loved this movie. I had a blast with this movie. I don't understand the hate when people are like, "There's a nostalgia." Okay, the book is written about the '80s. It's written to have all this in there. I haven't read the book yet, but I want to. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a thrill ride from start to finish. We got a couple negatives, but I really liked all the actors. I thought they all did a really good job for what they were told to do by Steven, the writing through the editing. I thought they did a really good job. I really liked Ty Sheridan. I found him very relatable.
Yeah.
I loved the visual effects. The visual effects were stunning. I loved the story.
Definitely.
There was heart. Mark Rylance was outstanding. I loved him in that role.
Yeah, he's
Originally,
really
he wanted Gene Wilder before he passed away to play that role.
I could see
and
that.
that would work too, but Mark Rylance took it over, and I thought Mark did a great job. I forgot Simon Pegg was in the movie. I thought he did great.
It was weird seeing him because I don't, without giving it away, it's just weird the role that he had.
I think it's a perfect role for Simon Pegg to just come in and just do this little, little part to help out.
Mm-hmm.
T.J. Miller was funny in the film. I felt some of his lines were even improvised. I felt like that was something he might have just thrown in that made it into the final cut. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie from start to finish. I was blown away. There were scenes that just absolutely captured imagination to me. It wasn't mine. It was a cool and unique way to look at things. It was funny. Yeah. It was epic. I really, really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, I mean, Spielberg does a really great job of bringing his own creative, I guess his own creative style of his own imagination, and he just brings it to full force, especially with a movie with such major special effects, which is what I really appreciate, which I was glad that he was able to do it, to make it like an action adventure fantasy movie almost. I think people will remember about for a while, so that was really a great job.
Yeah, it's got some of that old Spielberg magic in it. It really does. It's got some of that, he's a teen, but he kind of reminded me a little bit Catch Me If You Can, and the way he handles a teenager, and and just the way he directs childlike wonder, and it's in this.
That's
and
a good way.
This movie's got nods for people from the '80s, for kids who love nostalgia like that. It's got nods for video games today, Star Wars. It's
some
got
90s,
it's got everything. I loved it. I honestly wanted more nostalgia. I was like, give me some more.
That's what I like though. Like it for some.
It didn't overblow it. That is true.
There's people who are worried like there's too much nostalgia.
There's not. There really isn't.
At the beginning, yes, there is, but once the story really starts rolling, it settles back. It takes a back seat with all the nostalgia, and it focuses on the story.
I wouldn't even say it's a back seat. I just think that the beginning, that part of the film calls for it. It makes more sense with the way the film is designed, and then and then it's always focused on the story, but the nostalgia was around the story. It was a product of the actual story, and that's what it like wasn't there as a machine to, make you be there for the nostalgia.
Yeah,
so
not in your face.
there was
at
less
all.
than I thought there would be. There really
I agree.
was.
I
And
definitely
then there's epic fights that were incredible to watch. I really had a blast with this film. So you got any negatives?
I do. It's funny that you said that you enjoyed the actors. I thought the actors, you're right, the actors did do well for the jobs that they were given, but for a Steven Spielberg film, I felt like he really lacked in giving these characters a little bit of depth, like a little bit of three-dimensionality to them. That's not a term at all, but giving them just a little bit more of reasons that we can root for them or want to follow them in their story, and they felt a little plain to me. I'm happy that you liked T.J. Miller a lot. For me, he wasn't the best part of the movie, to be honest. Like, I don't know if it was just the way that he was saying his lines, or maybe he's just so recognizable in the comedy world or whatever, but for me, like, he just stood out so much to the point where it just wasn't what I wanted to see in the movie. It just didn't work for me. So that kind of was interesting to me, because usually Spielberg is good with his characters, but I felt like in this movie, like, he really lacked in doing so.
My negatives are, like, my biggest problem was the pacing and some of the character development. I agree with you. So I do think they all did a great job for what they were given. I thought the only character he really dove into at all was Ty Sheridan's character. And we get a little bit of his backstory. I found him incredibly relatable. I thought I related him on many levels. Some of the other characters, so like specifically T.J. Miller, there's a few things that happen, without giving spoilers, there's a few things that happen that are too fast, a little too fast. Like, you wanted a little bit more, patience. Let's really get into this.
Like, we actually want to stay for this. Don't rush it.
But then, the more I started, it is still a negative, but the more I started thinking of it and how this movie is such gamer culture, to be honest, all the people I know who are big gamers, which I'm not, they kind of act that way. They really do. And so it's still a problem for me, but I remember halfway through the movie, I was like, man, some of this stuff is really bothering me. And, like, the way they took T.J. Miller's character, the way they took him, I was like, I'm not getting a lot of him. And then I started thinking, well, there are people like this in the gaming world that if we all had VR would act that way. Sure, they're there to, do that one thing and just do it as best they can. So so it was bigger problems for me, and then halfway through the movie, all of a sudden it like clicked, and I was like, all right, it's a smaller problem. I'm having more fun with the movie now, and I can look past these issues and more focus on more of the positives, because I'm okay. I wanted more development, but it was already a 2-hour, 50-minute long movie.
It is kind of a long movie. Yeah.
It didn't drag to me, but it is already long enough. So we, you would have to cut some of those really cool scenes out to give us some more of that depth. So I was fine this time on Spielberg choosing style over substance, since the last few movies we've gotten from like The Post and Lincoln are more substance.
Yeah.
So I was alright with that, but they are the pacing is pretty quick. And there are some characters you wish got more time to really mesh with each other before they suddenly get to the conclusion. So I agree with that.
Yeah, one more thing too. I heard from some of our friends coming out who have read the book that they were saying seemed like there was a lot of liberties here and there with, like, they still enjoyed the movie, but they didn't notice like some stuff was changed around a lot to make this film work as compared to not really following step by step through the book. So if you're one of those fans who really wanted as close of an adaptation as possible, you may come in a little hesitant just because it's not, I don't think that's completely the case. I think Spielberg took a lot of liberties so that way his own creative influences could work in this movie. It didn't bother us, or at least I don't think it bothered him. It didn't bother me because I obviously
had a
read
blast
the book.
with the film.
And it seemed like our friends who read the book enjoyed the movie for the most part. So maybe you'll still enjoy the movie, but just a heads up.
I wanted to read the book before the film because just hearing the premise, it sounded so great. But now that I've seen the film, I want to read the book even more to not only when people always forget when you make an adaptation, you're basically a book is a super long script. And then some writer has to cut that down into a different script that would work more for a movie. And then the director then creates his vision. So a lot of, I'm a big believer, and everybody hates me for this, and there might be a video one day where we get in a book expert to debate this, but I think you should read the book after a movie.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not always the case. I've read books before movies and still enjoyed them.
I thought you were going to say, I've read books before.
I have. But sometimes when you read the book first, you have then become the writer and the director, and so you think you fall in love with a moment in the book, and then fall
in love with your vision.
And then when the writer writer writes it, and the director of a film says, "All right, this is a cool scene, but we gotta We got to nix it.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to read the book, see what scenes, you know, they really wanted, see the direction it didn't go that they wanted to see. But I really enjoyed the movie, and I usually, when I do that, when I read the book after, I end up liking both more than I, like, as I did it with The Martian specifically, where I read the book after, and there are scenes in The Martian where I was like, man, that would have been so cool in the movie, but I kind of get more now why they didn't do it.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
but I think you'll be fine if you didn't read the book. Just go enjoy yourself, enjoy the nostalgia, get some popcorn, gorge yourself. You know, that's the way to do it. So,
Yes, you should.
boom. What is your score
I think
out of 10?
I think out of 10, I would give this a solid 8. I think.
Wow, I thought you were gonna go a little lower.
Really?
From the way you were talking last night, I was thinking 7-ish. So,
I was also
alright.
a little tired, so that was probably it too.
Yeah, you're always tired.
Well, yeah. No, I think 8 out of 10. It's a very solid film. Who knows where it ranks in Spielberg's filmography? I'm sure we'll figure
Not
that
sure
out
it'll be
down
his
the
top
road.
10, but it's in there.
Yeah.
It competes, I think.
Yeah. I think overall his style, his vision worked perfectly to create a nice action adventure film that's different from what we've seen recently. But the characters I wish could have been done a little better. Still fine characters, but they could have been fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie an 8.5. I had a blast with this movie. I think it's really fun. I would like to see it again. You're right. There's a couple pacing issues. You know, some of the characters are just, you know, they're quick and you want to take a little bit more time with them. But I found the main character very relatable. I thought a lot of the other characters were relatable to people I know. Maybe not necessarily to me, but I was like, I know these people. So
I've seen them.
For this gamer culture specifically. So
Yeah,
I had a blast with the movie. Guys, what did you think of Ready Player One? The words will not pop up there. But what did you think?
Just imagine that.
Comment below, let us know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get notifications every time we post something, which we're hoping is, you know, when summer hits we can post more because we're so busy. We really are. But guys, do that. Like, comment, share it all around the internet for us. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.
I hope my mom checks this one out.
Me too.
I don't think she'll like it, but I hope she does.
One can dream.